Well, Gary, thanks for coming on board today. I really appreciate it, my friend. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted you on here, but the biggest reason is because of hashtag Grow Together. You started an initiative that is booming throughout our community right now, and I wanted to give you a few minutes to go ahead and talk about that, Gary. So why? Biggest question is why?
Okay, well, as we know, shout outs are nothing new to the YouTube community. You've had people like Rod the Rican from Just the Rican and his comics. You've had Metarog, Roger over there on that channel doing shout outs forever. When I started YouTube, it was to learn from my child because he's grown up in YouTube like you and I grew up on cable television. So YouTube is the kid's new thing. And I had to make sure as a parent that I knew the ins and outs of it so I knew how to protect them if I had to. And so I could set them up properly. I never planned for this to keep going. And here I am, loving it. It's my peace of mind. But when I started, I had 5 subs. And I got my first shout out from Stevie B Comics. And that put me past 10. And then my mind was really blown. And then I started doing shout outs of my own. Even though I'm like, all right, if I just send 1 sub to somebody, it's 1 sub. I was small potatoes. I'm still small potatoes. The problem with shout outs, as I'm sure you've experienced, is most people do shout outs and it'll drive traffic to a channel.
Yeah.
And it's contest driven, right? Go sub these people up. We're giving this away. As soon as the contest is over, the person who got all the subs is super happy. The next morning, if they got 10 subs, 8 of those subs are gone and they're back down sad again. It's like, Why does YouTube hate me so much? So the whole idea behind Grow Together is to create sustainable subs. The Grow Together part of hashtag Grow Together came from the relationship that I had with Jimmy at Small Town Collectibles and Jason Slotted Up 503. The 3 of us kind of grew together watching each other's channels, and then somehow we became great friends. And as you know, we became the usual suspects together. But our mantra together has always been, if someone's doing good, we're pulling the other 2 with us. No matter what, we're going to grow together. And then, of course, you go to the Iron Man movie. And you had that end credit scene with Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. When he approaches Tony, and he says, I had an idea, the Avengers Initiative. And some way that mixed up in my brain and came out as the Grow Together Initiative. And the whole idea behind Grow Together is to create sustainable subs, people that aren't going to disappear the next day. Now, you're always going to have subs that go away. You're always going to have a few people chasing this or chasing that. But the whole idea of Grow Together is for the community to help the community. So if I see some channels out there I think need attention and I'm shouting them out and other channels are going to them, what a lot of our channels are going to have in common are a common fan base. So if we're getting people to our channels that aren't just searching for a hashtag giveaway on YouTube and just subbing up to everyone to try to win something and then unsubbing afterward, if we're actually driving people to other channels that have a similar interest in what we're all doing, that's going to create more sustainable subs, in my mind at least. And so far, it seemed to have worked better than just regular shout outs. Now, I'm still doing regular shout out videos. I have one releasing tonight. But the idea with that is it's hashtag Grow Together. Now it's hashtag Grow Up Forward to include more people in. And we're going to try to keep this thing growing. We're going to try to keep supporting each other. And we're going to try to build the most positive, most inclusive community that there is out there. Because that's the great thing about our community. It's inclusive. It's not competitive in a mean way. It's competitive in a camaraderie way, where it's like you and your buddy egging each other on to do better and try to outdo each other. And it's just fun. And that's the whole idea.
I absolutely love that. And you said now we're growing. Now you're saying it. Now it's hashtag grow it forward.
Well, it's always going to be hashtag Grow Together, but I put hashtag Grow It Forward in my video because it's to include other collectible channels. So my new focus on my new video, which is releasing Thursday the 15th. The idea is to grow it past just the comic community.
There you go.
I want this to include the collectibles community as a whole. So tonight, my main focus is going to be 8 Funko Pop channels. And then I'm still going to have 5 comic channels to shout out because I'm never going to leave my comic brethren behind.
We're all in the collectibles game together. We're all brothers and
Correct.
sisters in the collectibles game, whether you're collecting Final Fantasy statues, Funko Pops, Transformers, whether you're collecting comic books. We're all collecting something because we loved it in one way or another.
Right. You have a passion and you're pursuing it.
And that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. It's all inclusive. We're all in this together, Gary. Thank you so much for starting this, because I know I've been a beneficiary of hashtag grow together, and it's because of you. I will give you a lot of credit for for a lot of my subs, man. I'm new to this game myself. I just started back at the beginning of March, and I have, at this moment, I think I have like 13 videos. You know, I'm so happy that I even have 60 subscribers. I'm here like, oh my God, people watch me.
It's weird because I never saw this growing past my channel. This has completely taken me by surprise too. Which shows you how great the community is. This is something I did for my channel to try to create more sustainable subs for the people I was shouting out. And then the rest of the community embraced it and ran with it. So they made it something bigger than I ever envisioned it to be. And it's awesome. And that's because of the community.
Yes. And we do have a wonderful community. I've never been a part of a community like this ever. I mean, like I've had like, high school, clubs
Cliques.
that you used to be a part of. No, not cliques. Your clubs, your after school clubs,
Right.
like the science club, or the chess club, the anime club. Like, I've been a part of clubs like that in high school, but this is such a huge community, and online just reaches so many people literally across the world. I want to say that I've bonded and got. After one episode, I absolutely fell in love with Jen from Comics Will Break Your Heart. She's such a wonderful personality, and it was because of something like this that I was able to get in contact with her. I never in a million years would have thought I would have been able to talk to anybody else in Portland about comic books,
Right.
And this is just awesome how we can grow the way we are, and I love how you're pushing it. Again, Gary, thank you for that, man. I really appreciate it.
It's only a small part me, a big part the community.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Talking about the community, we're going to be talking about our new comic book picks for April 21st, 2021. So let's get this portion of the show started. Gary, I know you and I talked about our comics that we're going to be picking up on Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Let's get it going. I know, and I'm going to go ahead and start it off with this because I know your number one pick and my number one pick are pretty much the same. So
Correct.
Go ahead. I'll let you introduce this one. So what's your first pick for New Comic Book Day, February 21st?
Right, so we're going to go, because this is the one I know we have in common. We're going to go with Ultra Mega 2.
Yes.
Now, this is a book that caught me out of nowhere. I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't see it in the previews because my comic shop does a pull list, which you can order off previews and it just goes there automatically.
Right.
I saw it in the comic shop. I looked at it. The cover art caught me right away. And I don't know if you're a fan of the Ultraman series Marvel had just put out. I gave that a chance, even though I wasn't really familiar with the property, and loved it. Well, this had Ultra in the title, and that kind of caught my eye. Then I saw Ultra Mega, but it looked like not so much a family-friendly title, but
Right.
a harder title. And I'm like, wow, I'd like to see this concept in a more adult manner and see what that's like too. And it really blew my mind. I loved it. And I heard some complaints about the story being all over the place, and I didn't think it was. I thought it was concise.
Yes.
I thought it told a tightly woven tale. It had heroism. It had heartbreak.
Yeah.
It had pathos. It had a lot in it. And it was everything you thought you were going to get. And then a bunch of stuff you never thought you were going to get that surprised you page after page after page. And I thought the whole concept of a kaiju virus was clever. And I thought the execution was perfect.
I'm with you. With everything you said, I am with you all the way. It had the heroism. This book gave me a Batman versus Superman vibe towards the end of that movie, right, where we see the fallen hero. This also gave me of course, the kaiju vibe. I grew up in the 80s, so of course, Godzilla was a big part of my life, so this gave me that great old 1950s Japan Godzilla vibe. I loved it. This also gave me a Voltron 2 vibe. Now, for all those out there who don't really know, there was another Voltron series where it was 3 robots that got together and created one bigger robot. This book gave me those vibes as well. Like this book was a combination of a lot of things that I grew up with. So that's why I ended up gravitating to this book. Let me read a little bit about it. This is by James Herron, arts by Dave Stewart. Rising out of the carnage of our debut issue, a new hero emerges to beat down the kaiju scum. Fists fly and blood is spilled. Fight monsters. Stand with humanity. Stand with the Ultra Mega. I am all about this. This is amazing. The art was great. The coloring was very vibrant. I loved the purples and the blues, right?
And then and the ending was quite a surprise. And even the main hero we were following in that issue, you even got glimpses into his family, and it connected you with him on a deeper level with that. And you also cared about his family some too.
Exactly. Have you read 7 Secrets from Boom Studios?
I have not.
You haven't? Okay. So at the very beginning, it starts off with character building, and then towards the end of that first issue, spoiler alert, one of the main characters, or at least one of the main characters that you thought was the main character, ends up dying after you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, there was all this buildup. This is what Ultra Mega did for me also. It introduced Hero, and then they're gone. Spoiler alert. I just want to see how they're going to pick up from that in Ultra Mega too.
Right, because you thought you were going to follow him through the whole story.
Exactly. And with a lot of people who are saying this story was all over the place, you know what? If it was meant to be that way, because we were listening to 3, possibly even 4 different stories in the first book, because we had the main character and then the 2 other people who were playing one of the Ultra Megas, and then you get the story about what's going on.
Right. So but it felt like it was by design.
Exactly. It did. It was a thick book, but it didn't feel like a long read. So issue 1 was great. I know you and I are looking forward to issue 2.
Right. Yep. And I mean, we should mention to the audience, $7.99 cover price, but you get a lot of story, and it's a big premiere format book.
Yes. And honestly, you guys, I'm going to say it out there. It's worth it. $8 for this comic book. It's worth it. Anyone who picked up The Last Ronin, you're paying $8 there. It's okay to pay another $8 for another
or
awesome
Future
book.
State.
Yes, Future State also.
Right. We got a number 2 pick to get to.
Exactly. We do have a number 2 pick to get to. So Mr. Gary B, let's go ahead and get into your number 2 pick. What's your number 2 pick for April 21st, 2021?
Another pick along the monster line, because I'm doing total monster books this week for the new comic book day. Another adult oriented title, and that's going to be Alien 2, the follow-up to the first Alien issue put out by Marvel, which really surprised me, which anchored you in the universe right away with Bishop in the book. So you know you're in the universe that currently exists. It's tied together.
Yes.
All the new cast that they introduced in the book are people you form bonds with fairly quickly. And then you had the 2 sides of the coin of Weyland-Yutani being evil, Weyland-Yutani being just a corporation somebody works for who's kind of blind to what they do because they don't see it as an employee. It's not made present to them, and they're not living in a place where they're affected by it. So, but it set up a great family struggle, one that you cared about.
Yes, exactly. That first issue was great. Let me read a little bit about it. Alien issue number 2, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, arts by Salvador LaRocca, colors by Guru Effects. The return to Epsilon. Cruz has only one chance to save his son from the horrific fate he's barely escaped. The clock toward total collapse is ticking. The aliens are loose. Yes, so this happened, and I love it because in issue 1 it structures it so that it does tell you. So it is in the alien movie world. It does tell you about what happened in Aliens and what happened with that facility. So it's telling you it's continuing. And another way that this book keeps you connected to that alien world is the use of Bishop. I'm gonna say that now, Bishop. Yes, bishops. There was more than one, and I think it was Alien 4, right, where they introduced and let us know that there was more than one bishop, right? It was one of the movies where they tell you, yeah, there's more than one bishop. So if you're a fan of the movie, that's not a spoiler. You know, Bishop is everywhere. But the fact that they ended up using him in the comic book felt very organic as far as how it molded the movie into
very
the
natural.
Comic. Very, very natural. Yes, indeed. Great
and the art,
pick.
What did you think of the art? I thought the art was outstanding.
Art was great. Salvador
Colors were great.
did a wonderful job. Guru did a great job with a lot of. He set the mood. I think the mood in this book was set by the coloring that Guru did. So yes, it was fantastic.
It was, and I've read other Alien series where the coloring's been muddy and it's hard to tell what's going on. In this one, you always knew what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. The lighting was great in some of the pages. It does go back and forth, light and dark, but it's supposed to. It sets the mood for those scenes, and it felt very much like you were reading a movie. Come to think of it, right? Because of the.
Yeah, and the other thing this book did great is it gave you those edge of the seat moments like you had watching the movies.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Yes.
And it set up the same kind of feel that you had watching the movies with the edge of the seat moments.
Yes, it felt very much like it was another setup like Aliens, where they see Ripley flying through space and she's still in her encasing or whatever. It felt very much like that. Alien number 2. That's a great pick right there, Gary. I'm looking forward to it myself. I got that on my pull list.
But what's your number 2?
Moving on to my number 2. I'm glad you brought that up, Gary. We're going to go ahead and bring up my number 2. So have you read Stray Dogs by any chance?
I have not, but I've heard great things.
It's a fantastic book, the way it's laid out. Let me read the synopsis on this first before I get into it, okay? Stray Dogs number 3, written by Tony Fleeks, arts by Trish Forstner. Under the farmhouse, something rots, and no matter how well they're trained, dogs will be dogs. Now they've uncovered something that can't be buried again. Stray Dogs number 1 and 2. This book the best way for me to describe this book is Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs. It's crazy. When I saw this book, when I saw number 1, I picked it up, I flipped through it, I thought the art was cute, and I was like, you know what, I need something nice and fluffy, I'll bring this home, no problem. And then I started seeing the horror variant homages to like horror movies. I'm like, what's going on? I read that first issue and it was very fluffy at the very beginning. They were welcoming a stray dog. They were letting her know everything is safe. And then yet you find out towards the end of that issue, because dogs have a short-term memory, as soon as this new dog saw the owner of the home come into the door, all of the memory from what happened very recently came back, and it was horrific. Finding out what's going on with this owner of the house, why is he collecting all of these dogs, is part of the storyline in Stray Dogs, and I am all about this right here. It's Disney meets horror, and it's great.
I may have to pick it up.
You need to go back and look for number 1 and number 2, because I'm looking for number 3. I'm waiting for number 3. I believe it's a 5 or a 6 issue arc, so it's a short series, so it's very, very, digestible. Stray Dogs number 3, that's my number 2 pick. I love this series.
Nice.
Let's get into Number 3. Gary, what is your number 3 pick for April 21st, 2021?
All right, continuing down the monster path. We're going to go with Godzilla, Monsters, and Protectors. And this is going to be the family-friendly monster pick of the week. Godzilla versus Kong was, in my opinion, a fabulous film. I absolutely loved it.
The fights were
great.
So
I'm excited to see what this series has to offer.
Yes.
It's not set in the same world, I do not believe. Legendary Comics has their own issues out that are set in the Kong and Godzilla film world. But this looks to be a fun title that is about the relationship of kaiju with humans and how they interact in the world, and it just looks magical.
I love it because it is I saw it in previews. It's a kid-friendly Godzilla book. My stepkids loved the Godzilla versus Kong movie. This is a great book for them to jump into. It's an issue number 1. They can go ahead and read this also while they still have Godzilla and Kong fresh in their minds. I'm gonna have to get this for them for sure. Let me read up a little bit about on this one right here. So it's Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors number 1. Writers Eric Burnham, art from Dan Schoening. Rise Up Part 1. When a coldly single-minded businessman uses an untested element to create clean energy for profit, he inadvertently awakens the beast from deep, Godzilla, or as how many people know him, Gojira. Sensing the harm the new energy poses to the planet, Godzilla attacks the heart of the problem, humankind. It will be up to 3 intrepid middle school students with a little magic help from an infant island to show Godzilla that not all humans are bad. I like this. I like this a lot. This is very much, hey Godzilla, we're good. Like, you don't have to fight us. We're good people.
Right. And you set Godzilla up as the protector kaiju.
Yes. And we've always known he's always been a protector. If you've watched any or all of the Godzilla movies, though he's big, he's menacing, he disrupts life, he destroys buildings, but surprisingly, he is a protector. He's doing these things for a reason. And that's always been his character, right? He's always about protecting. So continuing on with that, and in kids form too. I love it. Why did you even go with this one right here? That's what I want to know.
Because there's not enough of this out there in the comic book. There's a lot of heroes. There's a lot of dark and gritty. But sometimes you just need simple, fun, and giant monsters.
Yes. Nothing wrong with giant monsters. I love it. All right, well, let me get into which one are we on? 2?
3.
I haven't had dinner, please forgive me. We're gonna go my number 3 pick for New Comic Book Day, April 21st, 2021. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, number 1 from Boom Comics. Writers Ram V, art from Felipe Andrade. Let me read a little bit about this one right here. Now, with humanity on the verge of discovering immortality, the avatar of death is fired. How do you fire death? And relegated to the world below to live out her now finite days in the body of 20-something Layla Starr in Mumbai. Struggling with her newfound mortality, Layla has found a way to be placed in time and place where the creative immortality will be born. But will Layla take her chance to permanently reverse the course of the future history? Or does a more shocking fate await her? I like Ram B's style of writing in the 4 issues of Swamp Thing that I've read, and I'm honestly already a fan. I totally trust his process in what this book's going to be about. I still can't figure out if it's going to be a drama, if it's going to be superheroes, if it's going to be anything like that. But it sounds
fresh.
It does. And that's what we need. We need fresh. We need to keep fresh ideas coming at us. We need to read new books. We need to, just involve ourselves in something outside of our box. And this one, it's making me jump out of my box, out of my little world, and I love it.
And I thought the cover is awesome too.
Covers are gorgeous. Covers are absolutely beautiful. I believe there's I want to say there's quite a few variants, and it's like one of those pick and choose, because Ross Ritchie was really pushing the many deaths of Layla Starr. It's funny too, because we interviewed Ross Ritchie on the C-List Villains podcast recently, and off air we asked him, hey Ross, as of right now, who's the one artist or one writer, who's the one talent we should keep an eye on? And he said right off the bat, oh, Rom V, keep an eye on him. He's up and coming. Anything he gets, pick it up. I think it was a ploy because he knew that Rom V was writing this book.
Yep, and a new release was imminent.
Yeah, exactly. See, I think he was pushing that. So I'm, you know what, Ross? I'll go ahead and listen to you. Rom V has done me good with Swamp Thing. I'm gonna jump on board because number one, it's Rom V. And number two, it's a boom book. Any boom book right now is literally booming. So you have to pick up all of their number ones.
And it seems Ross Ritchie has his fingers on what's working right now. He's got the eye for it, not only story-wise, but talent-wise. And Boom Studios is just firing on all cylinders right now. They're not making any bad choices.
Exactly. Honestly, they haven't really made too many bad choices yet, so I'm sticking with it. I'm trusting the process. I'm all about this one. That's my number 3 pick for New Comic Book Day, April 21st, 2021. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, number 1. Gary, my friend, that's the show. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. The godfather of the hashtag Grow Together initiative right here on my show. Who would have thought? I love it. Gary, go ahead and plug your socials. Let everyone know how they can get a hold of you and learn a little bit more about hashtag Grow Together.
All right, well, I'm pretty simple. Everything's just under Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. You can find me on Instagram under that moniker, and of course on YouTube under that moniker. And I got a lot more stuff coming for the channel. We got more shout outs coming. We got my Savage Saturdays. We have my journey video coming up of completing the entire first Conan series. And just that's it. I'm a simple guy. You're going to see haul videos. You're going to see me shout out channels. You're going to see me talk about barbarians. And of course, I love the women of Marvel. So you're going to see Black Cat. You're going to see Captain Marvel. You're going to see Black Widow. I love the strong female characters, and I love my barbarians. I'm a very simple dude.
And he's got it looks like he's got a nice collection of that Conan the Barbarian. I've seen a couple of his videos where he shows a Conan book, you guys, and you should see the energy and the smile Gary has when he brings that out. Check him out. Go follow him. Go. Leave as soon as you're done watching this and go watch his videos, you guys. Well, thanks again for everyone for joining me tonight. Keep in mind, I do co-host the C-List Villains podcast. New episodes do come out every Saturday on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. We're also on YouTube under the C-List Villains podcast, where we pretty much upload all of the interviews that we've done so far. So go check us out, sub us, follow us, hit that notification bell so that way you guys get notified anytime we drop a new video. Now, that's it for tonight, everyone. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Until the next issue, deuces.
Keep it casual.